Scarecrow Festival is like the most important day of the year. What? Daft cow?
This is just ridiculous. What the actual fuck?
This podcast is sponsored by Stoney's Bar and Grill Cirencester. Get the Christmas party started at Stoney's, with tables available for up to 50 people, or buffets for up to 70 people. Hurry and book yours now before they all go by calling 01285 642 006 or visiting www.stoneys.co. Let the festivities begin!
I'm Martin McClue. What the actual fuck?
Scarecrow Festival is like the most important day of the year. What? Daft cow?
This is just ridiculous. What the actual fuck?
Welcome, What the Actual Fuckers. How are you? We are here again for another very special episode. And I'm here, as we know, he's as stylish as Len and he's as popular as Slugs. It's my co-host, Neil.
So you're sticking with that?
That's going to be the end. Yeah, we're going to do that.
So every week I'm going to have that?
Unless I can think of something better, but at the moment, that's about as good as I can get. Because it's accurate and it's funny.
Hashtag WTAF. All right?
Yes. Now, we've been very lucky with the guests that we've had so far. We've had Ashley.
We have.
And in the last episode, we had
Paul.
Martin Mucklow himself. And as this podcast is called What the Actual... I've already sworn, which I really feel I shouldn't do, because our guest today is a man of the cloth. It's... so I'm going to ask him in a second whether we're allowed to swear or not, Neil.
Okay.
So you may need to curb your voice and your language.
Oh, I'm going to go very... what's the word? Sort of proper.
Okay.
Proper, okay?
Okay, that's fine. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Reverend Francis Seaton himself, Paul Chahidi. Hello, Paul.
Hello, it's lovely to be here.
Hello, Paul.
Fantastic. We've been very, very lucky in the fact that we've been able to, very early on in the podcast, get a lot of the people that are involved in this country. So, thank you very much for joining us. Very first question, are we allowed to swear, as you are a man of the cloth?
Well, I've spoken to the Bishop of Gloucester, and he has given you special dispensation tonight, so you can F and Jeff away.
But you must... Oh, no, it's the wrong religion. I was going to say, but you must confess tomorrow. That's obviously not going to work.
I was just going to say, well, thank fuck for that. So that's all right. So we've got that out of the way.
Paul,
don't feel inhibited.
Yes, okay.
Right, so we're here to talk about This Country, and the first series has already aired and been a great success and very, very funny. I would like to ask, Paul, when did you first become involved with it?
Well, it was... So we filmed last year around... It's the same time as this year. It was around sort of September time. I think I had a meeting with Daisy and Charlie and Tom, the director, and actually Paul, their dad, was there reading in. That was in June, I think, or July. I was just filming something else, and I kind of snuck out of rehearsals and came and met them. Loved meeting them, but as always, as an actor, you kind of learn, through hard experience, not to allow yourself to think too long and hard after you've had the meeting, because you don't get half the things you've done. But I met them then, and I heard back I think a few weeks later. But I remember even at the time just thinking how lovely they were, but also how great the scripts were. Well, I had one script, and I immediately warmed to the character of the vicar.
So what was the instruction of you with that character then? Was there any base lines that you could follow straight away, or was it something that you could just work with Daisy and Charlie?
Do you mean in the meeting, or?
Yeah, in regards to, like you say, you were drawn to the character of the vicar. What was that drew you to him?
Oh, well, I could immediately see, it was just, even from the little snippets I was given for the audition, I could immediately sense he was a very warm character. and that he was the kind of calm in the storm of Kerry and Curtin, and as it turned out, a lot of other people in the village. And I immediately liked that, and it made me kind of really drawn to the characters in general in the script, because I felt like these were real people, and like anything, if it's rooted in a truth and a reality, and there was a warmth towards all the characters, I felt, I kind of thought that you can have great fun with that and still remain truthful. So you can go quite far with those kind of characters. But I was really enjoying being the kind of straight man almost to everyone else. And I'm very fond of. I've met some lovely vicars in my time. I just thought it was just a lovely character, and I was really grabbed by the way he responds to all their shenanigans.
So, how long after the meeting in June then did you find out that you got the role?
My memory, if I've got this right, I think it was about 3 weeks afterwards, something like that. And as I was saying, I was filming. Actually, it's a film that's just come out called The Death of Stalin. This film. And I was just starting filming when I heard, and I thought, oh, that's lovely. In fact, I've got a very clear memory. Because I grew up in Oxford, I was driving back to London from filming, and I was through, those like chalk cliffs you go through in the Chilterns from Oxford to the M40. I was going through there, and my agent rang to say, oh, they've offered you this role, and I thought, oh, great, and not knowing what was in store, but thinking, well, that'll be the next job after I finished this film. And so it wasn't very long at all, really, after I'd done the meeting.
So obviously, you said you sort of like the straight man of the show. How hard was it to film and stay the straight man and not corpse a lot?
Oh, God, I mean, it was just very hard. I mean, they're innately funny people, Daisy and Charlie, but all of the actors are just so wonderful in it. But most of my stuff was with Daisy and Charlie, and there was a lot of corpsing at one point. I mean, there was one episode, it was a GMVQ episode, where, well, let's not beat around the bush. It was the vicar's ball bag scene.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the number of times we had to do that, and I was just crying with laughter, and to the extent where I thought, I am a professional. Come on, remind yourself, I'm a professional. Otherwise, we will never get through this. And they were corpsing, and it was excruciating, but just a delight at the same time. And there have been many moments where you kind of go through the corpsing barrier, and you come out the other side eventually. Kind of, it's like a fire that's burnt itself out, and then you do the scene. But they're very, very funny people, Daisy and Charlie. I mean, Charlie, in particular, he just has to kind of start smiling, and it kind of sets me off. So I've had to learn to kind of discipline myself quite harshly when I'm working with Charlie. But no, there's a lot of corpsing, but then we do get down to it, and kind of this. But it's huge fun.
Well, the characters of the Reverend and Charlie, Curtin, they've got this special bond, haven't they? Because I think if you look at what Curtin gets up to in the whole series, the only person that he won't lie to or, like you say, have shenanigans with is the Reverend. I mean, he may lie to start with, but it's the Reverend that always seems to put him straight. Is that something that you sort of worked on? Like you say, you were quite close with Charlie and Daisy. Is that something that you sort of worked on in regards to the characters?
Yeah, I mean, I felt from day one, I had a very strong sense that the way to play my character, I can only speak for my character, and I think it's there in everyone's performance, is to play it as truthfully as possible. And, the comedy will take care of itself because it's there in the writing. And in a sense, the vicar has to be as sort of earnest and serious as possible. It's not like he has a sense of humour, and he's deeply humane. But, I think I kind of decided quite early on that at the core of the Vicar were a few things. One was a deep-seated kindness, and the other was the fact that he really cares for Kerry and Curtin. He is looking out for them, and he feels responsible for them, and he's got this great sense of responsibility for his community. But we see it most of all with Kerry and Curtin. I mean, he is almost like a father figure to them, and I think they are almost like his children. And I felt like once we kind of established that kind of relationship, then like I say, you can go anywhere with the comedy there. But it's so exquisitely written that I kind of felt that would take care of itself, the comedy, if we could get the kind of reality of our relationship. Yeah. Mm.
So series 2 has just, as we take it, finished wrapping. Is that sort of relationship carrying on in series 2?
Yes, very much so. They've written some beautiful stuff for all the characters, but and none more so than the Vicar. I mean, just without wanting to do any spoilers, but every character has got a chance to expand and deepen in the second series, and there are some lovely surprises with all the characters. And I think people who enjoyed the first series, I think they'll really enjoy what's developing with all the characters in the second series.
Mm. Now, one of the things that Ashley said and what you've sort of pointed on as well is regards to the writing of the scripts. When you go in for that first rehearsal, or say the first time you're going up for the role, if you like, did that hit you, the quality of the writing, in regards to when you've been to other jobs and you've tried to get other parts? How different was that quality of writing? Did it hit you straight away?
It just felt very truthful, and it was deeply funny. But it came out of situations and kind of the fact that you believed in those characters. And I mean, we were lucky. We had a day or two of rehearsing in London before we all decamped to Northleach for filming. And I in the rehearsals, we kind of became familiar with each other, which is hugely important. And I mean, from day one, I felt that Tom George, the director, and Simon Mayhew Archer, the producer, and Daisy and Charlie were just really sensitive to us as performers, and obviously had kind of chosen us because they thought we were good. But, we're really showing that, and they were really kind of taking our suggestions seriously. And I kind of felt immediately kind of relaxed. My shoulders just dropped, and you just felt safe and felt like you were in really good hands, and that, we're going to do some good work here and do it well. And the scripts were already in very good shape. I think they'd honed the scripts a lot. And what I sensed early on and was borne out by the way we did work was that, there would be some room for sort of improvising and ad-libbing around the scripts. And I think as we went on and got to know each other better, and all of us became more and more relaxed with each other, that just became a very easy thing to slip into when it was needed. And when it wasn't, we could do things just absolutely as scripted. But it was just, you'd always have room in any take that we had to kind of go off piste a bit and off the script and see where that led you, and knowing that it could all be edited.
So the feedback for the first series and the reviews have been very favourable and very good. I mean, it was a very funny series. Have you had some great feedback yourself? Have you been recognised or?
I've only been recognised. I've only been recognised once, and that was in the Turkish grocer's shop on the corner in London where I live. the young lad there, Turkish Cypriot, he said, do I know you? And I was picking up some milk or something. I mean, this was this year, earlier on. And I went, I don't know. And he said, are you an actor? And I went, yeah. And he said, Vicar, I know you, Vicar. It was just like, he was the only person, but that's it. No, I've had no recognition whatsoever, which suits me fine. But I've had some lovely feedback from people about the show, and nice things said about me too, which is lovely. But people seem to be people who like the show, don't just like it, they love it. And the response has been phenomenal, like you say. I mean, we were too rather like Lawrence Llewellyn-Byrne. We were humbled.
Yeah. So, Paul, what was your favourite episode then from the first series? What was your personal favourite episode?
So hard to pick. I mean, I'm not just saying this. I loathe looking at myself on the screen. I just find it the most unnatural thing in the world to do. As an actor, I just find it really weird. However, I have watched it all, obviously, and I couldn't help liking the moments that just brought back memories of huge corpsing. So the GMVQ episode I loved, but I particularly also loved the more serious moments where. Well, there are so many, but anything when Big Mandy, is walking past and seems to have the hearing of a bat. Yeah. They're just deeply, deeply afraid of her, the two of them. And also, I particularly loved the episode with Kerry and Curtin's dad when they're in the trailer in the caravan, and it's just heartbreaking as well as incredibly funny. And I thought that was encapsulated in a nutshell why I think the writing and the program is so special.
I've always said that This Country is the best British comedy since The Office, and it has that same kind of. 1 minute it can make you laugh, and then the next minute it can make you cry. Because the episode when Kerry thinks that Curtin is going off. It is so sad because you think she feels like she's going to be all on her own and she's going to have nobody. And that's what I love about the writing is the fact that 1 minute it can make you laugh, next minute it can make you cry. There wasn't a question in that. I just wanted to say. I
agree, and I'm so pleased you felt that, and a lot of other people felt that too. And I think that is what I got from it when I read it, when I read the scripts, and on watching it, it was borne out, I feel. So I'm very glad that you thought that too.
Good. Now, we will come back to This Country. We just we had a little look on IMDb at some of your previous roles, and we were struck by the fact that you play characters with very colourful names.
Oh yeah, what have I? You remind me.
Harry Balls in Holy Flying Circus, which we thought could have been read in a different way. And Sir Barnet,
deliberate.
Yeah, and Sir Barnet Cox of Filth, the Mary Whitehouse story.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and then also we noticed that there was another thing you were in called The Fear of Fanny, and we thought maybe there was some kind of subliminal message you're trying to give us here.
I'm like Mr. Double Entendre.
Exactly. There's balls, cocks, and fannies everywhere on your IMDb.
And now I'm a vicar.
Yeah, exactly. You're atoning for your sins. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I think I am.
I did want to quickly say about The Death of Stalin. What was it like working with someone who I think is a genius in Armando Iannucci?
Well, it was, I would agree. I mean, that word's often overused, isn't it? But he really was. And I felt just incredibly lucky to have worked with him and, some of my comedy and acting heroes. I mean, I was on the shoot pretty much for all of it, which was 2 months, and we had 2 weeks of rehearsing as well. So, and I spent a lot of time with Armando and Steve Buscemi and, all those people, Michael Palin, for goodness sake. I mean, wonderful people, absolutely wonderful people, Paul Whitehouse and Jeffrey Tambor and Simon Russell. I kind of had to pinch myself most days, to be honest. And Armando, I'd never worked with him. I'd always admired his work, but it was a real education in and it was great for when I came to work on This Country. But he would do this thing as well, which is very similar to the way Tom and Simon, producer and director, worked on This Country, which was it would be scripted. It would be very finely honed, the script, and they were rewriting right up until the actual day of filming. and then they'd sometimes even have rewrites on as we were filming it. We would do it as scripted a couple of times always, and then he would nearly always say, right, whether it was a scene with 2 of us or a scene with 20 people, he'd say, mess it up a bit, within reason, mess it up a bit, have some fun with it, play with it, see where that goes. And because most of the scenes were not, generally speaking, we were not having to find our marks and be in certain positions. The camera would come and find us. That gave us a lot of freedom. We didn't do a huge amount of improvising, but it was just around, we'd veer off a little bit and it would produce some nice kind of texture to the scenes. He was a delight to work with. It was one of the happiest experiences I've had on any job, and even Michael Palin, who has probably been working professionally for about 50 years or more, said the same thing. And I thought, if he's saying that, and then there really must be something special about it. And we talked to Armando about it afterwards. We met up, and he said, well, I have one golden rule, which is I don't hire arseholes.
Oh, right.
That explains it. So yes, it was a lovely experience.
Do you enjoy improvising? Is that one thing that you like doing?
Well, it turns out I do,
Right.
Pablo. I think we did a certain amount of that at drama school, and I did do a bit of comedy, when I was at university. But I think it always made me feel a bit nervous for a long time, and then I had to do it for a couple of things professionally, and then I did something in America before I went to film a pilot, and some of that was improvised. Then I worked with Armando. It was like 3 things in a row, and then I worked with Charlie and Daisy and Tom and Simon, and they all involved a certain element of improvisation to a lesser or greater extent. And it's about it's almost going into a zone of just relaxing, knowing the lines. And just the trick almost is just accepting any offer that comes your way and being really relaxed about it, not overthinking it, your response, or trying to be consciously clever, just seeing where it leads. And if you know that the camera is just going to keep running, you just become more and more relaxed with it. But I have really enjoyed that side of things. And it was a surprise to me because I didn't think I would. And I've really enjoyed that. It becomes quite addictive. You kind of want it on every job after you've done it a few times.
So when you're filming, is that your preference to do comedy over other things, do you think now?
Well, I've always loved comedy. And I've often got cast in comic roles. It's, probably got an innately comic face, moon face, double-chinned and balding. I was never going to play Romeo. It just takes me back to my first thing after drama school. When I was leaving drama school, was people. I went to meet some agents who were interested in me. And it was a very exciting time. You really want and need an agent when you leave drama school, and it's quite nerve-wracking. Some people get agents, some people don't. And I had no interest from agents until the final week where I did a speech. And then I met a few. And I'll never forget, there was a hilarious agent, just as you would want an agent to be, who I went in at about 4 o'clock. And he was a very reputable agent. Old school. He was in a blazer and tie, and he sat me down in this mastermind leather chair, and it was literally 4 o'clock, and he was like, "Paul, would you like a drink?" And I went, "No, I'm fine, thanks. I'll just have a glass of water." And he went, "Carrie," to his assistant, "get Paul a drink." This massive glass of wine appeared, and he kind of literally, what my memory is, he came up close to me and went, 3 things you should know about yourself, Paul. 1, you're losing your hair. 2, you've got a funny foreign name. 3, you'll never play Romeo. But you can act. Something. And I was like, do you know what? I never went with him, and I really admired him. And he's absolutely right about those 3 things. I hope the 4th thing is true, but that's not for me to say. But he was absolutely right. And in a sense, I feel I could play any kind of role, but certain roles I've never been interested in playing Hamlet. To be honest, that's not been something that's grabbed me. And I have played very serious roles, and I've played sort of sinister, kind of very dark roles as well. But I think my favourite roles are ones that mix deep seriousness with comedy, and I think the best comedy has both of those, light and dark, in it. And I also fundamentally think, the best comedy has seriousness in it. So as an actor, I will try, as a very crude rule of thumb, in things that are ostensibly comic, try and find the serious moments in them, and in things that are ostensibly serious, find some comic moments. I mean, it's there in all the great pieces of drama ever. You see it in Shakespeare. He will, in the darkest moments in, say, Macbeth, there will be some funny stuff in there, even within a speech. And that is human nature, and that's what real life is like. In grim moments, there's grim humour. And I love that. And I think, I don't know. I think the challenge of comedy is something I really relish, and I think comedy is hard to do. I think it's hard and it's brutal, because you're either funny or you're not, or people go, in a darkened theatre, if you're doing something serious, they could be asleep, or they could be really, you just won't know. You'll really know if they're not laughing, though.
Yeah. So,
but I like the mixture of things. I like the mixture.
Right.
But
now,
yes, I
was going to say, there's always a question that I've wanted to ask, and you're the perfect person to ask regarding one of your roles. I've always wondered how somebody who is in a major shot of a movie, if you like, but they're not a major person in the movie, how that experience is. Now, I saw the scene that you're in Notting Hill. Now, you don't say anything, but you are pretty much on screen for the whole of that scene. What's the experience for you as somebody that is, you haven't got a speaking part, but you're actually there? Do you mingle with Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant, or are you away from them?
Well, that's a very good question, because I talked to a lot of actors about this kind of thing. I think I did have 2 lines and they were cut.
Oh, right.
But the thing is, when you've got less to do, it becomes more pressurised. And if you're just starting out, which I was, in that scene, I was really quite nervous. And my main thought was not, what is my character thinking and doing at this time, is I don't want to screw this up, because there are 50 people in this room waiting to get this scene done, and I've got 1 line, and I just don't want to be the one that's the problem. And I think it takes a good number of years, or it did for me anyway, because it was something I had to sort of learn, is to kind of relax about that kind of thing, because it's not good for your acting, and it goes against being in character. But it's a huge pressure there, and the smaller your role, the greater the pressure. Funny enough, if you have a bigger role, you've got a story, you've got a character arc, and you feel more of the right to take your time and do things how you want to do it. And, you relax about those things. But I think it's a real skill I had to learn, to be relaxed even when I was doing smaller roles, and feel I deserve to be here, without kind of turning into, an actor with 1 line going, what's my motivation, and sucking all the energy of the director out. But, kind of going, I deserve to be here as much as the next person, and I am not going to allow the gremlin on my shoulder telling me to just don't screw it up for everyone, to be the main voice.
Yeah.
And in answer to your other bit of the question, Julia Roberts and, it was a crowded restaurant. It was in Nobu, a really posh sushi restaurant in London, in Park Lane. And Julia Roberts was delightful, but, she came, said hello, tiny bit of chat, and then kind of was just, I think, focusing. And I have complete respect for that. Hugh Grant was a joy. He was just really chatty, and they kind of, as much as they could do, put me at my ease. But as I say, I was contending with other things, which. But it's a really interesting question, because it's something I've talked about to a lot of other actors, especially about with camera work, and a lot of young actors. I sort of say, well, don't allow that gremlin to be the dominant voice. You deserve to be there, and just focus on the character, not the job.
Yeah. Lovely. I've always wanted to know that, so thank you very much for answering that for me.
But you do feel nervous. One does feel nervous.
Well, you were saying that you were just starting out, and then you are in a scene with, at the time, two of the biggest movie stars in the world. So you must have been nervous, or were you starstruck, maybe?
I was a bit starstruck. I went to the read-through, even though I had one line, because I just wanted to see them in the flesh.
Right.
I mean, I could barely look at her because I was just a bit overawed by the whole experience. But I'm glad I did. It was just part of my whole, this whole plethora of experiences you have as an actor, and I think you've got to enjoy those moments, and they're part of the rich tapestry, as it were.
I was just going to say, at least your character name wasn't Johnny Butthole or something like that.
Yeah. I think Rhys Ifans got all that kind of side.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I was just going to ask quickly, Paul. Do you do much stage work then? Are you still? Have you got a heart still on the stage?
Yeah, I do a lot of stage work. I mean, that's tradition. That's the training we have in this country. Is very much stage based, and I'd say until recently, nearly, not everything, but still actually, most of my work has been stage work, and it's only in the last few years when I've really kind of made a concerted decision to kind of be brave as an actor and say no to nice stage work in order to remain available for film and television, that I've started to do more film and television. And that's the juggling act, a lot of actors have, is if you're lucky enough to work at all, you have to sometimes say no to lovely stage work in order to be free to get the telly and film work. But in the process, you may need to be unemployed for a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a risk you take. But, I've done so many stage plays that have kind of been maybe a year long or 6 months long with in the West End or the RSC or the National, and you can't really do much else. I mean, I've loved those jobs, don't get me wrong, but my agent would have said stuff like, they're all checking your availability, but you're never free. And then I reached a point where I thought, I want to do more television and film work. I've really enjoyed the bits I have done, and I think it will be something I want to explore more. And so, made a very conscious decision to go, right, I've done one play at the beginning of the year. I'm now going to say no to lots of plays and see what happens. Discuss it with my wife and say, look at our bank balance. Are we okay? Can we do this? And, it's a team thing, team effort, as it were. But but stage work is just something I love. It's kind of why I became an actor.
Lovely. Right, before we let you go, we're going to make you work a little bit now. We've got a little quiz for you.
No, you tell me about this.
We don't like to, whenever we do quizzes on podcasts, we don't like to get,
It's always got to be a surprise.
Yeah, absolutely. So there'll be a tiny little bit of silence because I'm going to play the jingle. Or
Curtain.
Right, this is called Kerry or Curtain. I'm going to give you a line of dialogue. You have to tell me whether it was Kerry or Curtain. Just to let you know, you have 5 of them. Ashley got 3 out of 5. And Paul Cooper, Martin Muckler himself, got all 5 correct.
Oh, typical.
Which is yeah. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Here's your first one. Staggering. I'm ashamed of myself.
Curtain.
Correct. It was Curtain. Well done. Number 2.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Can you lot shut up? It's embarrassing.
Kerry.
Well done. Yes, that's 2. Number 3. I can't have this conversation because I've got to go on Dragon's Den.
Kerry.
Correct. Number 4. You ran away because I was boring you. Is that a joke?
Kerry.
That was Curtain.
Oh!
And number 5. What sort of dog do you reckon that is?
Curtain.
It was Curtin. Well
Four
done.
out of
4 out of
five.
5.
Well done.
A round of applause there. Well done, sir. Right, well done. So, what have you got coming up? Have you got anything that you're working on at the moment that you can tell us about, or have you got anything that's coming up?
Apart from Series 2 of this.
Apart from Series 2, obviously.
Apart from Series 2, which, can't wait. I did a little bit on a Disney film with Ewan McGregor about, it's a Winnie the Pooh film, actually.
Oh, right, okay.
Christopher Robin. There's one that's come out just now, but this is another one coming out next year. Had a little part in that, and then I've got a part in this thing called Good Omens, which is filming at the moment with it's a Neil Gaiman, Terry Pratchett novel,
David Tennant, isn't it? And
Michael Sheen.
That's it. I'm excited for that because the book is fantastic.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of people's favourite book. It's so you feel like huge responsibility. It's a cast of hundreds, as far as I can tell, and it looks like it's going to be an amazing production. And I'm going to be playing an angel in that.
Well, look at that. The next step up from a vicar, that is.
You've jumped the Archbishop and gone straight for it.
Yeah.
So the next one after that, you're going to be God, aren't you? I think that's the...
Well, come on. There's always that there at the end. If I'm lucky.
Well, Paul, thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Brilliant.
It's been so much fun.
Thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Just a little bit of housekeeping. If you want to come and join us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, it's at WTAF This Country. You can find all of our podcasts on pancast.co.uk. And anything else? Patreon. Come and join us on Patreon. For just $1 a month, you can come and get a pride of place on our Roll of Honour on our website. So that's patreon.com/pancast.
There's loads of other rewards out there as well.
Absolutely, loads of others, and they're all good fun.
Brilliant.
So that's it.
Thank you
for
very much.
episode 4.
That was fantastic.
Wasn't that fantastic? Thank you
great.
very much again, Paul.
You're very welcome. Thank you for asking.
Thank you, and thank you very much, Neil.
Thank you very much, Pavo.
And Paul, whenever you're in the Cotswolds again, let us know, because we're literally 5 minutes away from Northleach. So
wonderful.
We'll have a pride of place in our little studio, and you can come and visit us properly.
I'd love that.
Oh,
maybe a group visit with the cast as
Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be fantastic?
There
Absolutely.
must be something we can do.
Yes, and when you get that part as God, also let us know about that. We'll interview about
it. Will do.
Dear. So thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you all again soon.
Scarecrow Festival is like the most important day of the year. Daft cow?
This is just ridiculous. What the actual fuck?
Hi, I'm Pavo.
And I'm Neil.
And we're in the cockpit of the That's No Moon podcast.
And we're flying from a galaxy far, far away to bring you the hottest, the latest Star Wars weekly news.
Hotter than the two suns of Tatooine.
Every Wednesday, we'll bring you the up-to-the-minute news.
And rumours and gossip from everything going on in the Star Wars universe.
With special episodes including movie commentaries and trailer breakdowns.
So, if you're looking for the best Star Wars podcast
to listen to while sat on the toilet having a po,
or relaxing drinking a nice glass of Qui-Gon gin and tonic,
visit our website pancast.co.uk. Download them from Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or other podcast apps.
That's No Moon.
It's a podcast.
Scarecrow Festival is like the most important day of the year. Daft cow?
This is just ridiculous. What the actual fuck?